LSU recruiting is on fire, and we got to talk about it, break it down, and see where they could potentially land at the end of this cycle. But before we do that, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. It really helps me out, and it really helps us as content creators out. It's something as simple as just clicking a button. It's completely free to you guys, but it means the world to us. So help us out. Please hit that like button, comment down below what you think, hit the subscribe button, and I can be able to help you guys bring more great content. Okay, LSU had an incredible win on Saturday against the Alabama Crimson Tide in an overtime thriller where Brian Kelley had the kahunas to just go for two in overtime to hopefully prevent losing to Alabama in his first year and kind of gain some momentum and beat Nick Saban, where previously he hasn't had that opportunity in the college football playoffs or the BCS national championship. And so when you look at this as a perspective for just Brian Kelley being able to go in there, grab some confidence to get a win over one of the greatest, actually not one of the greatest coach of all time in Nick Saban, 32-31, that's incredible. But when you also look at it, he gained a lot of momentum on the recruiting trail in a really big recruiting weekend for LSU. Now, I don't have knowledge into everybody that was there, but we're going to talk about a few recruits that are there who right now LSU is looking mighty fine in terms of guys that are being crystal balled to go to LSU. And then guys that are still they're in contention with, they're still in the running that you would expect if LSU continues to win out and maybe go to an SEC championship. Not only is Brian Kelley just really good at developing relationships with the recruits, but you would expect that with the success that he's having as a first-year head coach, recruits are going to look at that as an LSU program that they want to be able to go and be a part of in the SEC because, well, there's a lot of opportunity and just a lot of talent there. So, okay, let's break it down and let's talk about it. So, right now, currently, LSU has the number 4 class in this cycle, sitting at a composite score of 287.90. It's 2 points lower below Notre Dame, and then you're sitting at about 7 points lower than Georgia at number 2. So, LSU's got some ground to make up to be able to join Alabama and Georgia in the top 1 or 2, but they can quickly get into the top 3. And when we look at it, we ask, well, what is the easiest path for them to get there? Well, in this huge recruiting weekend for LSU, you had Ryan Yates, the 4-star safety who Oklahoma has been pursuing, my team has been pursuing tremendously. And a lot of us are really hoping that he flips because we got Jackson Arnold. We're also really hoping Peyton Bowen flips. Peyton Bowen's not a part of the LSU squad. But you have Ryan Yates out there. He's out there actively recruiting. He's actively out there talking about just how great this relationship is with Brian Kelley, how excited he is for this LSU program. And you see just what an eventful night it was for the recruits. And then you look at who was there. Desmond Ricks, the 5-star cornerback that reclassified from 2024 to 2023 was there. You also had, and I'm going to completely butcher this name, so I'm completely sorry, but it's Javian Toviano. I hope I said that right. The 4-star cornerback, right? I believe at one point he was a 5-star as well. He was there. And then you look at who LSU is potentially still in contention for, and you look at it and go, there's a good shot that LSU could make a run at this thing and go for a top 3 class. So I fully expect for them to be able to land Desmond Ricks and Toviano. But they're still in contention for 2 more 5-stars. Samuel M. Mpemba, who is the edge rusher from IMG Academy. And then you have Nicholas Harbor, who was out there at DC. And when you look at those 2 players, those 2 5-stars, and you add those to the class that they currently have now, with the assumption they get Desmond Ricks and Toviano, LSU's sitting at a 310 composite score. They're sitting at the number 1 class, above Alabama as it sits right now, if they land those guys and Alabama doesn't get anybody. And now that's also assuming that nobody moves up throughout the recruiting rankings. And when you look at it, LSU's just on fire. They're on a roll. They're getting pretty much whoever they want at this point. And you would have to believe that if Brian Kelley continues to have the success at LSU that he's having right now, you're talking a pretty good recruiting class in his first year. In this 24 recruiting class for LSU, it's shaping out to be even better. They've already got crystal balls lining up all over the place from the man himself, Fong. But you go out there in the 24 recruiting class and you start off really strong with the 4-star linebacker, Maurice Williams, the 4-star athlete, Joseph Stone, a 4-star quarterback, Colin Hurley, a 4-star tight end, Tavion Galloway, a 4-star cornerback, Zion Ferguson, and a 4-star linebacker, or no, a 3-star linebacker, Xavier Atkins, and then you have an offensive tackle that is currently not ranked in the composite. But you look at this, and you look at what LSU is doing on the recruiting trail in Brian Kelley's first year, with all of the questions asking if this was the right hire, right? If Brian Kelley was the right man for the job. Well, I look at what they're currently doing, and I have no doubt in my mind Brian Kelley was the right guy for the job. Yeah, is he a little awkward at times with the recruits? Yes, he's 100% a little awkward sometimes. But this man is bringing in an excitement to the program, and I fully, wholeheartedly expect LSU with Brian Kelley to win a national championship. Is it crazy to say in the next 3 years? Is it crazy to say that? Because their recruiting momentum is so high. If they're able to build off that, they're going to be able to put together the classes that you need to be able to go out there and win a national championship. Now, a lot of it helps. They're in the SEC, so that helps them right away, right? Because we're talking about what's going on with Oklahoma right now on the recruiting trail. Well, it's simple as this. Not that you losing a bunch of game hurts you, but surely winning games helps you, right? And I'm trying to talk to some recruits to figure out just kind of, hey, what goes through your mentality in terms of what happens when you are looking at a school or you're committed to a school that's losing or winning? Like, does that play a factor? So we'll talk about that later in a video. But surely I would think winning helps, even though it doesn't look like losing hurts you at all. But if Brian Kelley is able to continue building relationships like he's doing now and having that success in the SEC, LSU could be a powerhouse, especially as you're probably heading off into the end of the Nick Saban era in the dynasty, which we know we're heading into the end of the Nick Saban era. He's getting older, and I believe this is his last coaching contract. Somebody can jump down in the comments below and confirm or deny that. But I think this is supposedly his last coaching contract. And so as we head into the end of the Alabama dynasty in the Nick Saban era, LSU could be putting themselves with Brian Kelley in prime position to take over as a top-tier SEC team with Georgia to compete every single year. And with Georgia being in the East and LSU being in the West, they're setting themselves up perfectly. But hey, got to look out, Georgia in the East, because Tennessee's on the rise. And I know you guys won that game on Saturday, but there's a lot of good things for Tennessee fans to be excited about as they continue to go on into next season. All right, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Go ahead, jump down in the comments below, and let me know where you guys think LSU is going to finish for the 2023 recruiting cycle. And then if you haven't already, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. Again, it really helps me out, completely free to you guys, but it means everything to me.